Let's talk about the aid that the United States gives Egypt every year, and has given Egypt for decades. This year we gave them $1.5 billion. $1.3 billion of that was in military aid. Some members of Congress, including Democrats, are now saying that we need to suspend that aid. What are you hearing from your sources there on Capitol Hill about that?
I spoke with the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Chairman Ed Royce, about this. I know this is something that he's very concerned with. I've also spoken to Chairman McCall of the Homeland Security Committee about this. What they're saying is, look, if we pull back aid, and this is the same thing the administration is saying, we're going to lose all of our leverage in Egypt. But we don't need to give it without conditions. And I think that that's what's been happening. See, since the Camp David peace accords in 1979, our aid has been part of this leverage that we've used to keep the peace between Israel and Egypt. And right now what they're saying is what we can do is we can have stipulations here. The president needs to go to Congress. There needs to be stipulations before we can give this aid to the Egyptian government. And remember, this Egyptian government, this interim government, is going to be it's going to be what some say the answer to managing Egypt's most egregious problems, their economy, their illiteracy rate. So they need the money from us. I mean, the majority of it does go to the military, but we can put stipulations on that and say, look, we want this to go for social use, or we're not going to give you the money if we see you do this again. So we can leverage that, but we're not doing it. And that's the question that the chairman has. Why aren't we leveraging it?
Right.
Why aren't we holding people accountable?
Right.
Even Morrissey.
And I just want to
and that
remind
was probably the time that...
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
No, I said, and even Morrissey, and that was probably, some had said that was probably the time when we should have pulled our aid or threatened to pull it, was when Morrissey was deciding that he would change his government from a democracy into a full Muslim Brotherhood Islamic Sharia state. Yeah. And that was something I heard today up on the Hill.
I just want to remind our viewers that the U.S. is usually supposed to cut off all military aid to a country after a coup, but that is being ignored or bypassed right now because the administration sees that our national security interests are at stake here. Do you think that that's why the White House has been loath to actually use the word coup?
Oh, absolutely, Laurie. You're 100% right on that. I mean, the United States, if it says this is a coup, would have to stop all aid. And that's something that Israel's also warned the United States not to do. I mean, there's a deep concern here. They don't want, like I said before, don't want to lose that leverage with the military. And so there has to be some kind of middle ground. There has to be some kind of foreign diplomacy that allows the United States to continue through with the Camp David peace accord, giving that aid to Egypt, but also requiring some kind of, recommending something or requiring something from the Egyptian government before that aid's given. But you're absolutely right. This is the reason why the president did not say that in his speech today. He did not mention the word coup, and he canceled the Bright Star joint military exercises between Egypt and the United States, which we do biannually every 2 years. Yeah. This is something that he did, I think, in order to teach or test the Egyptian military to see which direction they were going to take. What's your next step? Kind of throw the ball back in their court.
Sarah, I have one final question for you, and it's a bigger picture question. How would any kind of changes in an aid package to Egypt reshape our relationship with Egypt?
That's a difficult question. And, the analysts have been talking about this for a while. What we can do, it's not going to change everything, but what we can do is have a little bit more leverage, which is what we have not been using, and maybe gear the Egyptian people towards a more democratic state, which, in 5,000 years of Egypt's history,
is that even
this was
possible?
The first time.
Is it even I hate to interrupt you, but is it even possible to talk about real democracy there? And should that even be the question?
I don't know if that should be the question. I know that's what we hope for. I know that's what we pursue. But the way that the Middle East is shaping up, the way that we see North Africa reacting, the sweeping Islamization in that region of the world, I don't know if this is something that's plausible. I know that it's something that Egyptians who are secular, who have hope in their future, want to believe in, but they themselves don't know what the future of Egypt's going to be, and they themselves themselves are the ones who are fearful of what could happen if the United States backs away, or if the Muslim Brotherhood gains ground in Egypt and they lose their ability to hold on to this very fragile interim government, Laurie.
Fragile indeed. And Sarah,